An MSP, I'll talk about what that is in a minute. It's IT service provider, and MSP stands for managed service provider. But there are more than 20,000 of them in the US, and they account for about $350 billion in revenue. We saw a huge increase in MSPs in 2020 because of the increase of remote workers, and it just keeps increasing every single year. So this is a class of business that is not going away, and it just keeps growing by industry. And you're going to find everything from, 1 and 2 people that are starting their own little IT service provider business, up to really large companies with hundreds of employees. So this really there's a plethora of opportunity here. So what is an MSP? There's a lot of acronyms in the tech and cyber world. MSP has become a little bit more common over the past few years just because they've become more common. But it stands for managed service provider. Back when I started underwriting technology errors and omissions, gosh, it's been at least 15 years now. The phrase MSP, managed service provider, didn't exist. It was help desk or infrastructure as a service, or maybe just a network engineer, someone that was doing monitoring and management. It could be cybersecurity, cloud services, backup and disaster recovery. So how do you know if someone that comes across your desk, a client, is an MSP? They may say that they do one of these services that's listed below. Chances are they probably do all of these services that are listed. So the definition, officially, a managed service provider is a third-party company that manages and delivers information technology services to another organization. These services tend to be digital, remote, ongoing. Some MSPs offer in-person IT assistance too, and sometimes they may need to be there to help set things up, but in general, it is remote. So, you're probably thinking, well, gosh, we have an MSP. I'm sure there's agencies out there that, who provides the IT services to you? Do you have your own IT department, or do you outsource some of that, or all of that? It could be a mix of both. You may have your own internal IT person that works with an MSP, so it also is outsourced. So another acronym that comes up often when we talk about MSPs is RMM. What the heck is that? Remote monitoring and management is what RMM stands for. And this is designed to help those IT service providers, the MSPs, remote in and proactively monitor all the client's devices. So if you've ever needed to reset a password, or something happened and you called your own IT person and they said, okay, click here, and then suddenly they're able to move your mouse around, that's part of what an RMM tool can be. And it's installed on the client's workstation, on their servers, mobile devices. An endpoint is basically anything that they're managing that connects to the internet. So the workstation, the mobile device, and they're able to deploy this type of remote monitoring. And so this will let them know if there's a problem on your machine. It might create a ticket, if you've heard that term before in the IT world. It's basically like, hey, I have a problem, and you kind of fill out a form and the IT person gets it. So these RMM tools are really, all the MSPs are going to use them. So why am I spending so much time on what an RMM tool is? Because the fact that they use this tool is what makes it attractive to hackers. Hackers know that if they can somehow access the MSP, they may then have access to all the different endpoints or clients of the MSP through this RMM tool. So that's why it's important to understand what that exposure is, okay? So that's probably the main reason why MSPs can be considered risky to insure. 2020, 2021, we saw some of our competitors just not even wanting to write them at all because this was so risky. You know, as a hacker, if I wanted to, you know, get more bang for my buck, if I got into an MSP, then I could get into multiple clients. That's kind of the thought process there. And then, you know, typically companies aren't underwriting to the type of clients that the MSPs have. So they may not know all the different range of clients that are there, or the different ranges of data. So for example, if I had an MSP that only had advertising companies as their clients, there's not a lot of data there, right? It's maybe just some marketing material. But if I'm an MSP and all of my clients are hospitals, a hacker could have just hit the jackpot, right? Because now they have access to potentially all this electronic medical records and hospital information. But typically MSPs have all different types of clients with all different types of data. And we as underwriters don't get into the nitty-gritty as far as like every single customer that the MSP has. So it's kind of a little blind on our side, which is what makes them a little bit riskier, right? If you think of just underwriting a monoline cyber policy for, you know, one individual, like a, you know, retail shop or hospital, you know what you're getting into. But with MSPs, you're a little bit blind if you're not asking every single type of client, which I think that, you know, it's not a viable option for us to do that.